First of all, thank you, Jason, and Kenosha Community Media for having me on. I always appreciate being able to share of what's going on in Madison. We have a couple of positive signs on some bills that I'm working on. Actually, there is a committee hearing tomorrow morning in Madison at 9 o'clock in the Education Committee on a bill that I've talked about on this program before. It's a sexual harassment bill that Representative McGuire and I, along with Republican Assembly Representative John Spiros, have introduced in the Assembly, and the bill has actually already been heard in the Senate and passed out of the Senate unanimously. So I have big hope that it passes, and what it would essentially do is stop some of the verbal harassment that is currently not punishable in our schools. Kind of hard to believe, but a woman came forward and had just a horrific story of how she was harassed for years by a teacher, and when she went to the police, it was she was unfortunately told that there was no law against what he had done. So this bill aims to correct that. And January 4th, on the Ways and Means Committee in the Assembly committee that I serve on, we will be hearing a bill that I've been working on for several sessions now, that there's kind of a quirk in the law in terms of federal retirees who currently pay taxes on their Social Security, where on their pension versus other retirees who have their pensions paid for by Social Security. We do not pay state tax on that. So this is a bill that I certainly have a lot of support for, both in the committee that I serve on and on the Assembly and the Senate. And I've also been in touch with the Senate chair, and that's hopefully going to hear that bill shortly after we do in the Assembly. So things are kind of gearing up towards, even though we're getting relatively close to the end, this seems to be always one of the busiest times of year. So look forward to getting some of these bills passed. And the other thing that is certainly of interest going on in the Supreme Court, we believe that it may be as early as sometime this year even, that the court will have new maps for legislative seats, and Wisconsin legislative districts have been described as one of the most gerrymandered in the country, and I certainly have high hopes that this may be resolved. The other thing the Supreme Court is going to be looking at is there was a suit filed about the constitutionality of Act 10, which is the law that Governor Walker put forward in his early days of his administration, that basically took away bargaining rights for lots of employees. So this would be a huge thing as well. The other thing that the Supreme Court, I suspect, is going to be looking at is the 1849 law that we are currently living by in the state, that says that a woman cannot make a decision to have an abortion, even in cases of rape and incest. This is after the federal Supreme Court ruling recently, and we think that it's ridiculous to think that a law that was passed, before women had the right to vote, before the Civil War, can be the law of the land here in Wisconsin now. So a lot going on, and always a pleasure to talk with you folks. If any listeners out there would like to get a copy of my e-newsletter, feel free just to call my office at 608-266-0455 and tell them you'd like to be added to the list. It's free of charge, of course, and we try to get it out every month or so to let people know what's going on. So I'd just like to wish you and all your listeners, Jason, a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and look forward to continuing to have our discussion into the new year if we don't get together one more time before the end. So once again, thanks very much, Jason.